During his childhood, João always believed that the most beautiful things in the world were born slowly. That was how it was with the plants he cared for alongside his father, with the smell of bread coming out of his grandmother's oven, and even with faith, the kind he saw in his mother, kneeling before the same candle for years, asking for strength without a fuss. But now, at 32 years old, that belief seemed to have slipped away through the cracks of adulthood. He worked as a grocery delivery man, lived in a small back room lent by an uncle, and could barely keep his phone charged for more than 2 days due to how unstable his finances were. It was an ordinary Tuesday, rainy and muggy when he woke up earlier than usual, disturbed by a recurring dream that had left him uneasy. 3 men standing silently before a leafy tree, as if waiting for something. When he got up, his body felt heavier than the rain pounding the tin roof. There was a strange emptiness that morning, the kind of feeling that cannot be explained, only felt. And even without fully understanding why, João felt he needed to leave the house right then, as if something was calling him. There were no deliveries scheduled, no appointments, just an inner call. A gentle yet firm unrest, like the memory of an old promise. He walked through flooded streets, feet soaked and his hood covering his face like someone fleeing the world, or maybe himself. For some reason, he took a route that was not part of his routine. He turned down a forgotten corner in the old neighborhood where the walls were peeling and time seemed to move more slowly. That was when he saw the scene. An elderly man, very modest in appearance, sitting on the sidewalk in front of an abandoned building, eyes lost and body trembling with cold. There was something in that gaze that froze João in place. It was not exactly sadness, nor despair. It was a kind of quiet resignation, like someone who had waited for help so many times that they had learned not to expect it anymore. João felt a tightness in his chest. He had no money in his pocket, his phone was nearly dead, and his food voucher card had maxed out over the weekend. But there, in front of that man, all of that seemed small. The silence between them lasted long seconds until, as if by reflex, João took off his soaked shoes and handed them to the man standing barefoot in the mud. The old man looked at him with a serene, almost sacred expression and murmured, "Thank you, my son. God sees everything." João continued walking, not really knowing where he was going, with his bare feet feeling the cold sidewalk and the light weight of someone who, for a moment, had forgotten himself. He passed in front of a bakery and through the window saw a couple drinking coffee and laughing easily, as if life there were less heavy. A small thread of envy passed through him, but it was not the poisonous kind. It was more like longing for lighter days, for when he believed the future could be good. He leaned against the wall and remembered a time when he still had plans to marry Julia, open a tire repair shop with his brother, build a little house with a porch. All of that had slowly been lost, like dust vanishing into the wind. Julia had left when the bills became more frequent than gestures of affection. His brother, drowned in debt and resentments that had driven them apart. And the house. It was only a paper sketch in old notebooks. A tear rolled down his cheek, and João was startled by it, like someone who forgot they could still feel. He kept walking because stopping was worse. Stopping made the emptiness scream too loud. As he passed through a forgotten square, he heard a sound that didn't match the grey landscape, the laughter of a child. It was a little girl playing with a makeshift doll made from a plastic bottle and scraps of fabric. She was accompanied by an elderly woman who spoke softly to God while sewing something on her lap. João approached slowly, drawn by that living simplicity that defied the weight of the world. The woman raised her eyes and said, as if she already knew him, "What you're looking for, my son, isn't found by chasing. It's found when you stop to share." The phrase hit like a stone in his chest. João sat on the bench without saying a word. The little girl came up to him and handed him a broken cookie, split in two. He smiled for the first time that day. He felt something different, almost like a soft, warmth inside, as if he were being watched, remembered, loved. It was as if heaven was saying, "I'm still here." Sitting there with half a cookie in his hand and his heart strangely warmed, Jerome began to notice details he had previously ignored. The wind was no longer just cold. It carried a light scent of wet earth and bread baking in some nearby home. The sky, still grey, allowed a few rays of light to break through the clouds. For the first time in months, he took a deep breath, unhurried, as if there was something sacred in that moment. The old woman beside him kept sewing, humming a soft tune, almost like a wordless prayer. Jerome asked if she needed help. She smiled and replied, "Helping is also listening. You're already doing that." They remained silent, but it was a different kind of silence, not the kind that weighs heavy, but the kind that heals. He realized that he didn't need to understand everything. He didn't need answers or immediate solutions. It was enough just to be fully present there. The emptiness that had accompanied him for so long seemed at last to be opening up to make room for something new. It was as if God, on that park bench, was stitching together his own patchwork quilt, using crumbs of kindness scattered in small gestures. By late afternoon, Jerome decided to return home. The path was the same, but his eyes had changed. He passed the same cracked wall, the same flooded corner, but now he saw the plants sprouting from the crevices, the dog sleeping peacefully at the entrance of the workshop, the old man sweeping the sidewalk with calm movements. Everything was the same, and yet nothing was. When he arrived, he saw his uncle at the door. They hadn't spoken in days, but all the man said was, "There's food on the table if you want it." Jerome nodded and went in. The food was simple: rice, eggs, and some leftover squash. But he ate slowly, like someone silently giving thanks. Before going to sleep, he wrote on a crumpled piece of paper he found in a drawer, "Today, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone." He folded the paper and placed it under his pillow. Maybe he would never read it again. Maybe he would. But that night, as his body rested and the rain returned to the roof, Jerome fell asleep with a lighter soul, as if he had been visited by something invisible, yet real. The next morning, Jerome woke up before his alarm. There was a clarity in the air that he hadn't felt in a long time, as if the world were less blurry. The dream of the tree returned, but now it was different. The three men were still standing before it, but one of them, the one in simple clothes and barefoot, was picking ripe pears and offering them to those passing by. No one seemed to notice, but he kept giving with patience and gentleness. Jerome understood at last that the tree was life itself, and the fruits, all that we are capable of offering, even when it seems like we have nothing. He got up, changed his clothes, and, before leaving, picked up the paper from beneath his pillow. He added one more line: "Faith is not something we always feel, it's something we choose to keep offering." He stepped out with firm steps, not knowing exactly what he would do that day. But he knew he would do something, even if it was just listening to someone, sharing a bit of what he had learned, or simply being present, because deep down he had discovered, when the heart begins to open again, even the greyest days can bloom. And you? Have you ever experienced a moment when a simple gesture changed everything? Share your story in the comments. It may inspire someone else too. And if this message touched your heart, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and help us spread faith out there.